College. We want to thank you for pulling through for us, and I officially want to welcome you to our meeting.
Thank you.
Obviously, you gave the theme for the meeting, the topic for the meeting being the post-pandemic, that is the COVID-19 on the African industry. So before we start, I would like for you to give a brief introduction about yourself, and then we start from there.
So I work in a fashion higher education institution, and I absolutely love it. I love engaging with the students about fashion, why we wear what we wear. Just in Africa, for me, Africa is so rich in terms of culture and heritage and age group. I mean, our age of our students is not necessarily, it's very broad. So we have from 18 to 55 years old in one class. The understanding of fashion, who wears what, why they wear it. I love that part. It's my favorite. For me, exploration in the social creative areas is what I really love. And I think that Africa is my love too. So I think for me, what I absolutely would like to say, so my research as an educator, I love researching the world. A lecture that I had with my students this morning was having a look at how Instagram accounts have changed since COVID-19 has set in, and seeing which fashion Instagram accounts are celebrating human-centeredness, which Instagram accounts are looking at the people who actually buy the products instead of trying to sell their products. And I think that those are really interesting aspects. Did that break up, Subeda? Yes. So for me, the other thing about fashion that I absolutely love is that it's very personal. It's so close to your body. It's something that we wear on our bodies. It's a reflection of us, but it's also a personal experience. So how clothing makes you feel is something that really is important. And as designers, I think sometimes we can either totally remember that, or we can totally disconnect with the person who's actually wearing the clothing. And so I like to try and encourage my students to be passionate about the human figure and the person who's wearing the clothing. I think it's important.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Salam, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself, what you do, and all that? Can we have that?
So mainly what I do in the fashion industry is I teach a subject called theory of clothing. I teach retail planning and buying, marketing and advertising. So they're all theory-based subjects. But for me, I'm not a lover of theory without a practical application. So everything that I teach the students, I make sure that they understand it practically. Okay. So for me, marketing and advertising, they must start an Instagram account. They must practically experience what is advertising about, styling a photo. Take the photograph. You won't design aesthetic until you've actually engaged with it and tried it out. So the same goes for the theory of clothing. For me, I always try and bring the students into the conversation. So the COVID-19 conversation for me has been so much fun because it is an incredible space that we all are personally in. We're all stuck in a space that we're not necessarily comfortable with. There are parts of it that might be comfortable. There are parts that might not be comfortable. I mean, we're teaching all of our classes remotely. Students never came to us to be taught in this way. They came to us because they're practically inclined. They want touch, feel, they want the human experience. So for me, teaching theory of clothing and then bringing that human experience into it is exciting. It's interesting to see how can I get the students to engage with their world and, communicate their world out into the world again. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, taking a look at the African fashion industry, we realize that over the years, the African fashion industry has been inspired by Western brands. But then
Oh no.
when we take an in-depth look at it, we realize that Africa has actually influenced the Western fashion for as
Yes.
long as it has existed. So if we take a look at Yves Saint Laurent or the
Mhm.
Dior's and others, we can see that their inspirations have been drawn from the history of the people, their culture. Now, a multitude of African traditions have been used as a source of this inspiration. We have the African fashion industry right now, and we have the global pandemic that is the COVID-19 right now. People used to go out there and do what they do. Now, like you said in your initial speech, you said we have been caught up in a state. So, how is the COVID-19 going to affect the African industry, in your opinion? What do you think will be the post effect of the COVID-19 in the African fashion industry?
To be honest with you, I think it's multi-layered. So there's the personal experience. So me as designer and then me as wearer of clothes. So I'm not too sure about Ghana, but in a lot of Africa, women do not wear pants in public. In terms of being at home in my comfortable space, am I wearing pants as a woman? Um, there is something in that experience that's quite interesting. It means that we recognize that when we wear clothes, there's different occasions for clothes. There's dress up, there's dress down. What does clothing make me feel? How do I feel? How do I feel when I'm wearing clothes? And I think being at home for 6 weeks, not going out at all, I make sure my clothes that I'm wearing, I don't need to iron them. I want them to be comfortable. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel safe and secure in what I'm wearing. And I wouldn't necessarily wear the clothes out that I'm wearing at home, which I think is an interesting thing. So I think in Africa that we would start to have those experiences because it's a general experience. So if you're someone who works, you probably have work clothes and then you have home clothes. So now we have more need for home clothes than what we do for work clothes. And I think it will start to shift athletic wear, tracksuit pants, hoodie, casual clothes that are very comfortable. I think you'll see a lot of that shifting in Africa, which is a little bit unusual in all of Africa. I think the youth very much like their tracksuit pants or even trendy athletic wear, but I think to the older generations you'll find a little bit of a change, which could be very interesting. And then there's the other side of it with luxury brands, and right now I think that very few people are dressing up at home, but there is a desire to dress up and to look good and to just love your clothes because it makes you feel good. And this personal experience of how clothes makes us feel emotional. So there's the one side which is very secure and comfortable, and then there's the other side which is very presented and just there's something in Africa which I think is really great with celebrating clothing and how I feel. I think if I look at Accra Fashion Week and I look at the men's clothes, men look sexy. They don't need to reveal their skin to look sexy. The clothes are fitted, not too tight, they're not loose. There's something that comes across in that masculine wear. And then the female clothing, there is also this really celebration of female figure.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really interesting to see. And I have a strong sense that aesthetic is going to be something that the world will look towards because it's about celebrating. If I look at Accra Fashion Week and I look at the colors are happy, they're joyful. There is something in silhouette movement, just it's happiness. And I think when people come out of this, they're going to want to be happy and celebrate. So I'd be really interested to see where Africa is at in terms of leading fashion and leading fashion design and aesthetic, because I think we've done it for so long that we don't even realize how good we are at it. And I think that Europe has got quite depressed and they don't know how to be happy. And we know how to be happy. You know, in Africa, we can have nothing, but happiness and family, togetherness, social, it's worth everything. And I think that the clothes speak about that. They speak about joyful together. So I think it will be really exciting to see where post-COVID-19 things change. Where I do think that Africa needs to kind of definitely have a look at one thing would be the digital space. So in Africa, if you know, there's the saying that if you knew where we are now, would you have bought shares in Zoom 3 months ago? Because I would have.
Yeah.
You know, what are these platforms that we are turning to now that are digital? They're very basic digital, but how are we using them and how do they make our lives work well? And I think in Africa, that's the one thing which we don't have sustainable systems. So in South Africa, we don't always have electricity. We don't always have water. There are just simple things that we don't have where the rest of Europe, it's a given. But because we don't have it consistently, what we've done is we've always come up with the African hustle. We find a way. We find ways to survive. We innovate. We create. There is nothing that's going to stop us from taking the next step and just, you know, making it work. And I think that that's the thing that Europe doesn't have. That's what America doesn't have, which is the African hustle. And I think that if we can really stand with that, you'll see something amazing coming out of fashion now. So one of the things that I'm not too sure in Ghana whether it's happened, but in South Africa, all the clothing shops are closed.
Okay.
And it means that every big retailer is sitting with stock. Every small fashion designer is sitting with stock. Will they sell the existing stock without, like, our season is in the middle of change right now, so we're about to go into winter. You would also be in a season change, even if it's going into summer. Because you're in that season change, the shops are going to be out of sync with the actual weather. Are they going to sell those clothes to us, or are they going to throw them away? Are we going to skip seasons for a little bit? Are we going to stop? I think all the retailers would have put a stop to any new orders. So they wouldn't have put through summer clothes for us, winter clothes for whoever's going into winter. It changes the cycle. And I think it's really exciting. You know, I think we waste so much on fast fashion. I'd be really happy to see, I think Africa, we haven't always had as much money to spend on fast fashion. So we might have done alterations to our existing clothes to take them into the next season rather than go and buy new clothes. Or if we are buying new clothes, we make sure that they fit into the budget we can afford, but also into the style and there's something in Africa that our needs are different to half of the world. So I think that the fast fashion will be something very interesting to see how, as Africans, we change that. Ghana's got such a big market with the secondhand market of clothing. I'd be really excited to see whether that market changes to more upcycled clothing, kind of recycled, like designers actually taking those clothes and changing what they see in front of them, rather than going out to buy new virgin fabrics. You know, there's a lot of different approaches. And I think in Africa, if I see our students, they're all used to doing that. You know, everyone takes their parents' clothes and then they turn it into something that fits them. They're all used to upcycling. It's what we do because it's what we can afford. But in Europe, it's not necessarily the same thing, but you'll see the trend shifting in Europe to do that, because they're not going to throw the clothes away, they're going to sell them. But is it going to fit the fashion? What are they going to do with it? Does it make sense? So I think it will be very interesting to see what happens with the upcycling, recycling, design aesthetic, and then sustainability in that same sense, because no one can afford, I can't imagine, for any company to be able to afford to place new orders for new clothes when they haven't sold their old stock. So I think that'll be really interesting. And then just one more thing. So the idea in Africa that I think that where we do need to really get a lot quicker with the reaction would be in the digital space. So in the digital space, I saw that Accra unfortunately had the Fashion Week set up for March. Yes. So I'm not too sure what happened with that space, but what would have been amazing if we had the ability to do it is to do what like the British, the UK Fashion Week, theirs is in June and theirs is going to be completely digital. They will film, um, they will do podcasts, they will do everything digital so that all that clothing will still be seen and celebrated, but the format will change. And I wonder in Africa whether we can be that flexible and that innovative to find new platforms, because right now nobody has an answer to the platform.
Yeah.
Nobody has an answer. So can we come up with answers? Because I'm really sad not to have seen all the clothing that was made ready for this fashion week in Accra.
Yeah.
I'm sad not to see it because I was excited. I absolutely love the work that is being done there. I really do. I think there's just such joy and innovation and beauty and culture, everything communicated in the clothing. So I don't know, that's my push to see. Could we see something happen?
I think
Yeah,
for high time we do something about it.
yeah.
So then we are very much aware that the post-COVID is not going to actually stifle the growth of the fashion industry in Africa, but then it is rather going to make them come up and do a lot of things to actually help the African fashion industry grow. As with Bucharest, our students can meet in class, so they are also studying their electronic systems, and the students have been into mass production for companies, for people out there.
Good.
So they are basically working from home and also taking on an entrepreneurial role for them to help
Good.
out there. So
Good.
it's quite nice. It's quite nice to have and to know that the fashion industry is not really going to die out there. So what words of encouragement would you like to give our students or our audience?
So I would love to see students believe in themselves and believe in their ability to create and to, like you're saying, I love the entrepreneurship. There is no guarantee that we can give anyone a job, but you can create your own job. So for students who are working at home and making it happen, that's the African hustle. I love it. It's my best. The thing that I would love to see more of, and that's where I'm saying the digital space,
Yeah.
is to see students find ways to develop their understanding of social media platforms and to allow their work to be seen. I think that it's really important that's where the game changer is, in being seen and being heard. And there is not a lot. I don't know how big Instagram is in Ghana,
It
but
is.
I definitely think that if it's big, then it's a matter of how do we keep developing these platforms so that we create more of a voice for Africa, for fashion. I just, I really get so excited. There is such a good balance between hand skills and garment construction, like manufacturing and then design. And I think that a lot of Africa, we design maybe somewhere between being the manufacturer, the maker of, and actually the design. When you just design on paper, you don't understand the body, you don't understand the fit, you don't understand the details. And if I see, if I see the fashion coming out of Accra, for me, the details of what excites me. And also the textiles, hand printed fabrics. Wow, you have so much at your fingertips. You have everything there. You don't need to go to another country to make the clothing, to create something beautiful, which is really special. It really, yeah, it's very special.
All right, Dr. Salam, thank you so, so, so much for actually giving us a bit of the time to actually bless us with your expertise and your knowledge and skills. We really appreciate it a lot, and we wish we can do this sometime again for you to give
I
us
would
more.
love to come to visit you guys. I really would. I think that as Africans, we really need to keep working together. That is my absolute passion. Yeah, there's so much we can do. So much. And it's lovely to meet you.
Happy to meet you too. Okay,
Yeah.
have a lovely day then.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.